stuff and things.
Well, welcome to the Nerd Factor podcast, episode 9, titled to be determined by the end of this episode, probably. We are officially live on YouTube now, and we have gotten some great responses. Thank you to everyone who has chimed in with your token likes, your token hearts on Facebook.
Brandon, what's wrong,
suggestion?
dude?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, you're sitting here with your hand in your head, head in your hands.
Yeah, Brandon's entire hands covering his face.
We just got started faster than I was ready to get started.
Do you want to?
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we need to go back?
I am ready to rock and roll.
Are you sure?
Let's do it.
There we go. Start over.
Okay.
You just put your thing down, flipped it, and reversed it.
I did. I'm wearing that trash bag. I'm wearing that Missy trash bag.
You can't stand the rain.
Can we just please open by me? Can I please open by me saying how much I miss Missy Misdemeanor Elliott?
She didn't go anywhere.
Is she doing stuff still?
I believe so.
I need to.
She had like an Instagram video.
Misdemeanor, y'all. That's the only part I know. Like that's the only thing.
I love me some Missy Elliott too.
Everything she did.
Yeah.
Everything she I would want for her to come do a rap verse for my life. Like,
didn't we talk about this?
Oh my God.
I feel like you and I talked
Yes.
about this. Yeah.
Yes, I just want somebody to come and rap about my life.
Yeah,
It would be interesting. My daughter, we had some crazy stuff going on Saturday at our house, and by the end of it all, Katie just goes, "We need a TV show."
I bet you guys do need a TV show.
I don't
watch that
know.
TV show.
I don't know.
Seriously.
There's some of the stuff that goes on that I don't post. I'm like, maybe this shouldn't be on a TV show.
For some reason, I'm not sure why. It has to be. I don't know Tom, your husband, that well at all, really. I mean, we know each other. For sure. I would recognize him if I saw him in public. But beyond that.
The beard stands out.
Yeah, the beard. He's like, it must be your social media presence with him. But I really see him as a bit like on Three's Company. Who's it was played by Don Knotts. He was the landlord. Mr. Roper? Like, Mr. Roper, right? I kind of see him as the Mr. Roper of your household.
But
he's
was that
also
his name? Mr. Roper?
I don't know.
Or was that the guy before him?
Let me look.
He'd always come in and be like, "But Jack." And,
All right, no, don't let that
Don Knotts impression, though.
Wow. Oh, my God.
Anyway, so I see Tom as the Mr. Limpet. That was another Don Knotts character.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So just basically you see him as Don Knotts.
I guess so, but shirtless and hairier.
Oh.
Yeah, he is shirtless most of the
Wow.
time. It's so funny.
Okay.
God. He's.
Hi, Tom. Sorry, we don't really know each other very well.
Love you, honey. Yeah, he surprises people. I don't filter his presence very much. Well, actually, I don't manipulate. Pretty much what I post from him is straight, no filter.
But I really respect that. That's great.
And but now I do. There are things that I don't choose to share.
Sure.
Because of his lovely sense of humor.
So what's Don
let's
Knotts'
see.
name on
I'm looking.
Three's Company?
Let's see.
I'm pretty sure Mr. Roper, right?
I don't know.
I think it is because there's a spinoff called The Ropers.
Well, but that's the couple
don't
that
know.
had
Yeah,
the
let me
place before him, I
see.
feel like.
Ralph Furley.
Mr. Furley.
I
Mr.
wanted
Furley.
to say
That's right.
Furley, but I knew that. I
Yeah,
didn't think
Mr.
that was right.
Furley. I don't have that much history with Three's Company.
Listen,
Other shows from that period, yeah, I'm all about.
But
that one
Jack,
I don't. Don Knotts, I know. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
was it Jack? Was that?
Yeah, Jack Tripper, Trapper,
maybe?
Trapper,
Trapper. Okay.
Jack Trapper. I just had it up.
John Ritter, rest in peace. What a guy.
Oh man, yeah, what a guy.
What a guy.
My
So
favorite
if you
thing
hear
that
us
he's done.
slurping, it's because we're drinking coffee because it is so cold in this
We
I
are
just
in
got
a
self-conscious
different-
about my slurping
Yeah.
right before you said that. I was like, oh no, I
felt
slurped.
that from you.
We are in a different location for our recording today, and it is cold in here, whereas in where we normally record, it is quite hot. So
For any of
today-
you who have worked here before or work here now, we're in my office in the Berea building.
which is freezing.
Right.
You could probably hang meat in here.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's that time of year, too, where air conditioners are still on
We were
inside.
just talking about this.
Right? So, but outside, literally driving here, my car thermometer said 87 degrees. 87 degrees.
Right.
Yesterday, I was in a coffee shop, and I didn't have a jacket because it's 87 degrees
Sure.
outside, and I literally had to leave the coffee shop before I was done
Yeah.
hanging out in the coffee shop because I was freezing.
I can't stand
Wow.
air conditioner blowing on me.
Yeah, same.
I know.
For
Yeah,
sure.
but yeah, we
It's
just
gross.
talked
Yeah.
about this.
That is the biggest first world problem I've ever
Is
heard.
it
in my
not?
life.
It is. It
You
is.
know?
Oh, the feel of the air conditioner is
Let me
too
tell you all
much for my
yesterday.
delicate skin.
Let me
That is
tell you
the
all
king
yesterday.
of the first world.
So, no,
this air
I can
conditioner is
actually
making
trump
my
it, I
skin
think.
too cold.
I think I can actually trump that one.
Oh,
so, you know, we bought a new house.
Uh-huh.
So, of course, like the first day, we go to get a glass of water out of the fridge, and there's like a, ice maker and water thing, whatever you call that, in the door of the fridge.
Dispenser.
Sure. So I'm like super duper pumped about this because I've
Apparatus.
never had one. So go and get the water, and then it gives me a
think
little
of more.
alarm that the water filter needs to be replaced. And I'm like, great.
I can't drink this dirty fridge water.
So then it will tell me the number of days that we have gone overdue with, replacing
Wow.
it. So we got like 10 days overdue. We're like,
Can you
okay, we'll
talk to
order a
your
new
fridge
one.
and be like, order milk?
I can't do that. It's
Oh.
not
Those
that one
fridges
yet.
are the OG. Actually,
But if
they're
they
not,
go
there's
on the
nothing,
fritz,
anything
can you
original.
imagine? Like if this something goes out,
You get like 20 cartons of milk for no reason.
right? Well, I was thinking that, or like if the panel goes out where it's like you can't talk to it anymore, or it keeps sending you things.
Yeah.
Or if that goes out, it's like the electronics. And my husband, when we started dating, he had a Corvette, and if one thing went out, then it would
Oh, yeah.
all the time.
Right.
The car wouldn't work.
Right.
So it's like if your fridge, like one thing goes out where you can't speak to it anymore, does the entire fridge
Like
stop
a
working?
Cisco
Well-
truck pulls up beside your house, and you get like a gross of wintergreen Tic Tacs and like 22
And an onion.
non-dairy creamers and an onion.
Yes.
Yes.
So we get this new water filter in, right? And I mean, one thing I've learned in the past 2 weeks of owning a home is I can't do anything. I am the most
Ooh.
like
That feeling will
helpless
never go away,
person.
by the way.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm doing. Like I feel like the biggest just dumb dummy, right? So we get this new one. It's pretty intuitive as to how to change it out because it's exactly how the old one is put in there. And you would think that two reasonably intelligent people could do this.
Are you both
Mhm.
are you
It
both
took us-
dumb dummies about this?
I'm a dumb dummy.
Dumb dummy.
I'm not going to throw Brooke under the bus
Okay,
and say
great.
she's a dumb dummy.
Very good.
Because she's not.
Smart.
She's very,
Yeah.
very smart.
Smart
She's a
dummy.
smart smarty.
Okay.
So,
Smart smarty, love it. Hashtag smart smarty.
so she tries to put the filter in there,
Now I want some Smarties.
pushes the little door shut, like where the filter
Maybe we shouldn't
is,
have had coffee.
and water starts to spray
No.
out of the spigot in the door, and then it starts to leak out of like where the water filter is.
Oh my god.
So it's a series of about 20 attempts of taking this thing out, putting it back in, like trying to figure out, like reading the instructions that come with
Oh,
the
no.
water
In-
filter.
In the meantime, you're soaking wet because it keeps.
We're
spraying
both
you
mad
guys.
at each other. You know, like
Oh, for
it's-
sure. You dumb dummy.
like, Brooke is like, you need to get out of the kitchen. You need to get out of the kitchen right now. And I'm like,
Oh my god, I love that.
I hope somebody trips and
So-
falls on the water squirt. The fridge
luckily we
squirt.
have a
Like a banana
rug.
peel. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Sound
So-
effects and everything.
So then we finally get the thing in there, we think, like to where it's not going to spray water all over the fridge.
Uh-huh.
Inside the fridge is what I'm
Oh
talking about.
jeez.
So
No, I was having way more fun picturing it
So-
spraying all over the
oh,
kitchen.
it was doing
and
that too because
okay.
there was air in there, I guess.
Oh my
So
god.
now I'm just taking a cup of water and like pushing the little thing so that the water will come out so that I can get all that air out of there. So I'm filling up this cup of water and just dumping it in the sink, like 3 times. And I'm like, this is why everyone in the world hates us.
That's right. Yeah,
because
for
here I
sure.
am
For
with
sure.
perfectly fine water.
Like
Just dump it on out
Yep.
because I'm trying to get water to, cycle
cycle
through.
through.
it
Get the air
really
bubbles
is.
out.
That is
Oh my
the
gosh, that's
reason
funny.
that death to America happens all over the
For
world.
real,
is-
though.
is-
Wow.
yeah, the
Yeah.
fact that I can't tolerate air conditioning on my skin because I
Right.
can't.
The fact that I'm just like basically dumping water and we're sitting there, mad about.
I have no
A
first
water
world
filter.
confessions.
No.
I am lying through my teeth.
Oh, I have a first world confession right now.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Guess what I'm doing over the weekend?
I know what you're doing
Jeez,
because we talked about
I
it before we
don't-
started.
I don't know. I'm really excited
I'm
going
seeing
bumper car
Stevie
racing.
Nicks.
Oh, are you? So
Yeah,
cool.
man.
Almost as cool as bumper car
Yeah.
racing. Almost.
Stevie Nicks, the star of
I
our
wanna
first
go
2
car racing
episodes.
now.
For sure. I hope she's in full witch regalia.
I hope so,
some of-
too.
For some of the concert, at least.
I'm just going to
Yes.
burn episode 1 and 2 and just like hurl it at her.
For sure.
I'm
See if
not
she'll
gonna
sign
do
it. For sure.
No.
Where is she? Where are you seeing?
Louisville at the
Yay.
Bourbon and Beyond Festival.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
Amazing.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm jealous.
Super, super
I've got-
pumped.
I have other plans for the
Amazing.
weekend, but that sounds awesome. I
Yeah.
wish I could go, but it's okay.
Hmm.
All right. Well, I think we said welcome to the Nerd Factor,
I don't know if we did.
a library podcast from the Madison
true.
County Public Library.
I'm Brandon.
That was for you, Ruthie.
I'm CC.
I'm April.
We're all drinking coffee.
We're all
We're
drinking coffee.
so-
and
Coffee
maybe
break.
we should not have
Coffee
had.
break
Drinking
sip.
coffee.
Or coffee
sip
break.
Coffee
It is.
sip.
Right on. If only Rob Schneider were here.
Oh, she just slurped hard in that mic.
Yep, it was
true.
intentional.
We're not.
You're welcome.
We're
So I want to talk about it.
Oh,
Oh,
yes!
cool. Will you please
Oh
talk
my God.
about
Have you
it?
guys? So you've seen it?
No, I'm reading the book right now.
Have you seen it, Brandon?
I haven't seen the new version yet. I have read the book.
So listen,
I have seen the Tim Curry,
good.
obviously.
See,
Yeah.
I'm not. So this is kind of my point. I have avoided it for my
Okay.
entire life.
Oh,
I really respect Stephen King.
Sure.
I think that people forget what a wonderful writer he is.
I agree with that.
And he's
wholeheartedly,
such
yeah.
a great storyteller
Yes.
that you forget. I mean, you don't forget that things are scary, obviously, but you forget that it's a horror novel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
I
feel.
can agree with that. My problem with Stephen King is not the stories. The stories are wonderful. He's an amazing storyteller. My problem is that I tend to get bogged down in just all of the extraneous, superfluous
There's a lot of extra.
nonsense
Yeah.
that's
there's
just
a
in
lot,
there.
for sure.
I'm like, so I do a lot of skimming.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of skimming. The Shining is my favorite.
The Shining I
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
Is my
I've read The
favorite
Shining
movie.
a few times.
Yeah.
It's my favorite book. I love The Shining.
Sure.
And I've read the sequel, and I love The Shining.
I cut my
haven't
teeth
read the
on
sequel.
the Tommyknockers.
It's pretty good.
When I was really young, and the Tommyknockers is responsible for the fact that I literally could not be in the living room when the X-Files theme was playing on TV when I was a kid on Friday nights, because aliens, like that specific kind, that's my greatest. That's the thing that still to this day makes like the hair on the back of my neck stand
Really?
up.
Well, that's why I've never read it or watched it, because clowns, I think I've already mentioned this before, really freak me out.
Sure.
Like from, being a little kid
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
up until about now.
Okay.
What is it about clowns?
Because
they
I
don't scare
know.
me, and I don't get it.
So I looked it
Same
up
for me,
online,
really.
like why people are afraid of clowns.
This is a perfect topic
And the
for right now.
guess is, well, not the guess, but like the thoughts around this are, their face is covered in, a
Right.
expression that's not theirs.
I get. That I
right?
get.
Mhm.
Right.
So I also don't like masks. Like masks kind of freak me out too. But clowns, I think, are kind of connected to this mask thing. But
I can see
makeup
that.
is their mask.
Right.
So you can't really read what
Well, and
the
also their
expression
persona,
is.
because they come up with a personality, that a character.
And that's one thing too. So they're also happy all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Sorry, that was me being happy all the time.
Oh my
that's your
god.
happy all the time sounds.
Well, I mean, you did have the sad clowns too. They would have the teardrops and things.
Sure.
And they would have the frown faces. I don't.
Yeah.
There was one
Sad clowns unnerve me more.
particularly famous one that I can't remember. It's not like a current one. There's the one that sings. It's
Well, wasn't Harpo Marx, and maybe I've made this up, but wasn't Harpo like often dressed like a sad clown or had a little teardrop or something? You guys, is anybody?
that was kind of
I
his
don't know.
character, but he wasn't actually dressed as a clown.
There's something so
but that was
morose.
kind of. I mean, Harpo was the silent one.
Right.
So he never said anything during their movies or anything like that. And then he did have the really tight curly hair, and he often had a
Yeah.
hat. And his personality, his persona was also very clown-like. And so he kind of was like that. But his face was, plain.
Was it?
He
Okay.
didn't have
okay.
clown makeup on or
If
anything.
anything unnerves me about clowns, and I wonder what the is it taxonomy? I wonder what the phobic name. You know what I mean? However,
does have
something
a
a
phobic
phobia, whatever that
It
name is.
is. I just had it pulled up a second ago.
Ah.
For me, it's not clowns. Like, I don't like flying in things. I don't like things that fly because I can't get away from them.
No things that fly. What about
No
like
things.
fairies or butterflies or Tinkerbell?
I refuse to go into butterfly gardens.
No kidding. You
Or
really don't like things
I
that fly?
really don't like things that fly. I really, really, really don't. But other insects, spiders, I'll include snakes. They're not insects, but I'll include them in the creepy crawly category.
Yeah, sure.
They don't bother me.
How about
Not
that?
a bit. Things that fly, I don't care if it's a butterfly. I'm running from it.
But even
I don't like
friendly
birds
little
'cause they're
fairy
gross.
dust.
well,
spewing.
that you bring me a fairy with some fairy dust, and I might change
You
my
might
mind.
change your
I might
second star to the
change
right
my
and straight
mind.
on till
So
morning,
a-
April.
A clownophobia, if you will,
Clownophobia.
is a chorophobia.
Acrobat?
That
Is it?
I added an R at the end of phobia. Coulro, chorophobia.
Cold or calrophobia, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd have to
I don't
see
know.
it.
Yeah.
I'd have to
Let
see
me
it.
look at the.
Hmm.
Let's
But
see.
so, okay, so I have a few. Water that I cannot see the bottom of.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I will freak myself out in a swimming pool even.
Oh, and say okay.
Yeah,
in fact, yeah.
I will freak myself out and have to get out. In
Lakes
the ocean,
for me.
lakes
Yeah,
especially,
lakes.
I'm feeling really, really gutsy if I'm getting in a lake or a pond or any a puddle, a deep puddle.
I would literally rather the ocean swallow me whole than get into a tiny little dirty, like just brown, muddy, slimy lake.
Well, most of the lakes here, they like flooded a town.
That's
See,
even
and I think that's
so
fascinating, but also
insane? Yeah.
terrifying.
I know.
Cannot do that.
But like, wouldn't
Yeah.
it be cool
Haunted.
just for a minute? I'm
Haunted
sure.
lakes.
Oh,
they're supposed to be
totes
empty
haunted.
beforehand.
Haunted
Yeah.
lakes. If my foot,
you would assume they're empty before.
if my foot
Yeah,
ever
but they're supposed to
scraped
be.
the roof of a submerged
Let me have
house,
that.
I am done forever. It would kill me. Like I would die from being afraid.
Oh my god. The other thing for me, dolls.
Oh, I hate dolls. Hate dolls so much.
Dolls, they terrify
So
me.
my dad will every now and then send me creepy doll photos.
Oh, that's awful.
And just say, Christina.
Oh, I love that. Me as a parent.
The-
And like
So-
not even like well, you guys know, I have children and I totally do that stuff to them.
Nice.
So when I was looking up online, what the clownophobia, which I like that better, so I'm gonna call
Clownophobia,
it
for sure.
Clownophobia?
No doubt.
Yeah, totally.
There are at least two
do you remember
hyphens
the
in that word.
2016 quote unquote creepy clown?
Oh,
epidemic?
I was gonna mention it.
Yes!
There was was that one organization or was that a bunch of like
Well, it's all over the
copycats?
country.
I
So there was
know.
this thing.
Copycats.
It was on Facebook, and it was like this
Creepers.
creepy clown in Wisconsin. I want to say. Do y'all remember this?
I thought it
It was
started in
the
South
fir-
Carolina.
It might have, but this one like blew up. It was like a
Oh.
viral thing.
Wow.
It's like this clown.
The clown
was like dressed
exploded?
in like
Oh,
the
I'm
clown
sorry.
exploded. Yes, dressed in like gray and black. Okay, and
Uh-huh.
like I think it just had creepy makeup, and like black balloons. I want to say. So he would like listen.
Nope.
I'm freaked out talking about
Nope.
it.
Yeah.
But he would be in like a parking garage, right?
No.
Stand
Which
there.
is horrifying anyway.
For
a
sure.
parking garage on its own is
For
horrifying
sure.
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
Agreed.
And just stand there.
Oh, that's way worse.
That's awful.
Is
That's
that
way worse.
This is I don't. Maybe we don't know the. Is that is it illegal to dress like a foreboding, threatening character, right, or individual or person, right, and just go someplace and stand? Like if I wanted to dress like Michael Myers
Right.
and have like a knife in my hand or something.
Right.
Just listeners, I'm not going to do this. This is a hypothetical. Could I go stand in the parking lot of Madison County Public
Well,
Library?
interesting that you said this.
You know,
I mean, here, I don't think it's against the law
Yeah.
that you do that, but
Right.
like
Yeah.
we have rules here that like you can't harass people, you
Sure.
can't annoy
Right.
people.
sure.
You
Okay,
can't-
Right.
good, right.
So
So
I'd probably
private
ask you to leave.
businesses and stuff, right?
But actually, that was a big deal from this whole creepy clown
Right,
thing.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
And that,
yeah.
like, cities didn't have any kind of rules because you really,
Right.
they're just standing there.
I remember
Right.
like
freaking people
police
out,
departments
but-
putting statements out saying like, as long as this individual's not breaking the law,
Right.
there's nothing we
they
can do.
Right.
But at the same time,
Well,
don't break the law yourself trying to get rid of this clown
Right.
Right.
or whatever,
Don't go beat up
well,
the clown
guy,
with the black balloons.
so the clown that I just, mentioned, he would, walk around at night, like 2 a.m. He'd like, walk around quiet streets and stand on corners and stuff. Right. But he ended up being a promo for a film. So like this independent film,
Okay.
company, put him out there
So this
That's
is
to
cool.
generate
this is
buzz.
so interesting.
That's
I mean,
brilliant.
it's cool,
As soon
but I
as-
mean,
As soon as you said
Also,
that, my
like-
opinion about it completely flip flopped. Like I'm feeling myself. I'm like, oh, so he was an artist. So this is my
But
bias.
see,
This is what I'm trying to say.
I
This
don't
is
know.
my
He was
an
bias.
artist.
Oh, so
and
he
here
was
we
an
go
artist.
back to I think it was the last episode
Yeah.
that we talked about,
We
like
did,
who
yeah.
owns
Yes,
Right.
the art
I
or
think
whatever.
it was last episode.
When I found out that it was just to create buzz for a film, I wanted to throw my mug against the wall.
Really?
I was like, here,
Right.
this
then
whole
I
town
know, but I
has been
understand.
freaked out.
I understand.
If I came up on a clown in
Yeah.
a parking garage, I'm not sure I would have survived that. I am not kidding.
See,
My
I
feet
would have.
scraping a roof underneath it. Oh my
See,
god!
I would have been fine because, like I said, clowns don't really scare me. Even after seeing it, the only clown I've ever been afraid of was from season 2 of Supernatural, and that clown was creepy.
How about the
as could
freak show
be.
clown?
No,
in
You know,
American
like
Horror
bothered me.
Story.
The human
Twisty the Clown didn't
mouth.
bother me.
Twisty.
Twisty.
I mean, it was a little creepy, but Actually, I felt
Well, then you felt bad for him.
him.
Right.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
even before that, like he was so childlike.
He was childlike,
in his mannerisms and the way that he acted. It was just like, okay, this poor person has suffered and is dealing with some serious issues.
Right.
Not this menacing clown is out to eat me, unlike the clown in Supernatural.
Can't sleep. Clown will eat me. Can't sleep. Clown will eat me.
You don't understand.
It's a Simpsons.
In Supernatural,
Simpsons
the clown was one of the monsters, and it could be invisible.
What?
And it lived at a circus, and it came out like every 7 years or so, or 27 years or something like that.
I'm gonna go ahead and
it
tap
would
out of this
follow, like it followed this kid home and stood outside of the house just staring, creepy as can be. And then the kid went and let it into the house. Children, do not do this. Do not let any strangers into your home. And then the clown, even if they are a clown, then the clown came in and ate the parents.
I hope there are no children listening to our podcast, if I'm being honest. Just kidding, kids.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah, I guess I should put a spoiler alert. Scary stuff. We talk about scary stuff. But I saw it over the weekend. Oh, my God.
Was it good?
So
everybody,
good.
like, unanimously, everybody's saying it's this.
So good.
Yeah.
I don't scream in scary movies.
Yeah.
Jump scares, they just startle me, and then I move on. This one, I screamed like 3 times.
There must be one particular scene, because I have a friend who
There's a
actually
few.
broke the reclining chair
What?
at one of the movie theaters.
Oh,
Really?
I really want to go see it
Really?
so bad.
It is very, very good, and
Really?
it's relentless.
Yeah.
great.
It is absolutely
That's
relentless.
great.
Like the scares
on.
start and they don't stop.
That's awesome.
But here's the thing about the
like,
book.
as soon as one's over, there's another one. Like you turn around and there's another one.
Bring it on.
So
It's
I know
great.
that
That's awesome.
the newest one,
Mhm.
is mainly about just the kids, right?
Yeah, it's a
like
two-part.
it does not.
It's
Oh,
actually
okay.
at the end it says chapter 1.
That's right.
And then chapter 2 will be coming because
Okay.
Right.
it's 2 parts.
Right.
Okay.
The entire story is.
So I'm actually listening to it, and
Right.
Steven Weber performs it. He's
Nice.
You're
very,
the one I'm
very
waiting
good.
on.
No, I bought it.
No,
I bought
okay.
it
I'm
from
thinking
Audible.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like 53 holes on it right now
Oh,
on
yeah.
I
Overdrive.
bet so. I
I
bet
know.
so. Yeah.
But I think the reason why Stephen King is so good is you have these like awful scenes with the clown,
Mm-hmm.
but then you learn about the people who are involved when they are adults.
Yeah.
And there's this particularly difficult like domestic violence scene in the book.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys remember this.
I
It's
don't
pretty early
remember.
in the book.
I've not read it, so that's why I'm
I
really
mean, that
excited.
was
I was like in
more-
high school when I read it.
Yeah, that to me was far more difficult to get through
Mhm.
than the clown stuff.
Sure.
And I think
I
that's
could
what
see
Stephen
that.
King does. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I
well,
think
the stuff that's real is far scarier than the stuff
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Sure.
And he's really good, I think, at giving us both of those. Like
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
get some, fantastical elements, and then you get
that's
the actual real things that are
that are really
just
really
as
scary.
awful.
Oh, just
Yeah.
as awful and
Yeah,
probably worse.
yeah.
Honestly,
yeah.
probably worse.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. So, on the topic of storytelling, like we're talking about how Stephen King is obvious. I mean, he's an American legend, right? He's an icon, and you don't just become an icon without talent. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Well,
well, okay.
maybe debatable.
That's true. That's true.
Fair, the power of social media.
Maybe a literary icon. Could I addend?
Okay.
no,
literary.
Oh, no.
Literary.
oh no.
Maybe.
So
Maybe?
Stephen.
Maybe.
So
I'm trying. I'm sorry.
So
I'm trying,
Stephen
Brandon,
King is an
sorry.
icon, and what came up for me, like the difference between,
tried.
Thank you, I appreciate it, April. Like gifted storyteller and maybe not so gifted, or trying to shoehorn something into pop culture. Okay, so there's this film. I'm making a comparison now to the most recent 2016 Fantastic Four film, you guys. I just want to talk about it for just a second. It was a Super 8 train wreck times 3. It was terrible.
I love that is now a reference.
Director, a guy called Josh Trank, he did this other really great movie. I'm not going to be able to remember the name of it now. It was kind of the indie sleeper hit, and all the kids were superheroes. It was a great film, and then they hired him for Fantastic Four.
Oh,
Fanforstic, if you will.
I know what one you're talking about.
It's super popular.
I can't remember.
I'm blanking on the name of it
Yeah.
right now. Anyway, there's a domestic violence scene in the Fanforstic movie where the thing Fanforstic is what the fanboys call Fantastic
Gotcha.
Four. Yeah, because like there's a 4 in the
Fanboys.
middle.
Okay.
Right, in the word.
Oh, gotcha.
Anyway, Ben Grimm, the actor who plays the Thing, his catchphrase is "It's clobbering time." So in this gross, inauthentic, like shoehorny kind of a way, trying to make it like gritty and realistic, right? they introduce his character as a victim of domestic violence, and every time his older brother was going to like beat him up, he would tell him it's clobbering time.
Oh my gosh.
And all of and the fans unanimously were like, this is gross, we're leaving.
Yeah.
We don't want to have anything to do with this. So
Wow.
anyway, masterful storytelling versus fan-four-stick.
Yeah. If it's the movie I'm thinking of,
Gross.
I can't say it on the podcast.
No, it's not
It's
that.
not that one.
No,
Okay.
No, I didn't know
Okay.
Josh Trank was part of that.
Well,
film,
that was the one that I just Googled the title because I
Yeah.
wasn't 100% sure.
Sure.
But just as a side note, domestic violence is not funny.
In any way,
Just
fashion.
in any way, shape,
Not at
form, or
all.
fashion. I just wanted,
Absolutely not.
just wanted to put that out there.
No.
We make a
Well,
lot
and I
of
mean,
jokes,
again,
but
just to
yeah.
just to say, I mean that part of the book is,
Oh yeah.
I mean, again, to me, because that's something that happens unfortunately all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
a clown in a storm drain is not necessarily something that's
Right. One of my
You know.
favorite memes that I've seen come from it is the alligator coming out of the storm drain and it says "Clown's gone."
Oh man, just all of it memes. It's like,
all of
love
the.
I got
them.
hot boys down here.
I
know.
love
Yeah.
it. And one of the videos, like the morning that we went to go and see it, we came across this video and it's Pennywise dancing, and they're putting them dancing over top of all sorts of these different songs. But it was "Take on Me" by Aha.
Love it.
Oh my gosh, it was the funniest thing. And
Love
then
it.
we go and watch the movie, and that moment was not even remotely scary, especially because we were just going "Take on me" as this moment is happening in the movie.
The Josh Trank film is Chronicle, by the way, and it's a really
Okay.
good movie, or so I've been told. I would be remiss on this topic if I didn't mention the fact that our culture has embraced, very recently, both Pennywise and the Babadook from this film, The Babadook.
Yes.
Are you guys aware that they're a couple? Now,
No.
So, gay culture in America has embraced the Babadook.
I did know
as,
that.
as a-
Wasn't
as a
that
gay
accidental
icon.
though?
So I recently heard that maybe it was because Netflix accidentally
They accidentally
added
categorized
this film,
it
right?
in the LGBT.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, that makes sense
Category
because
on
I was flipping through
Netflix.
Netflix and I was like, okay, that's
Yeah.
an odd
Right,
thing.
right. I've never
But
seen
I
the
think
Babadook.
people have ran with this.
Well, in a major way.
I tried to
Yeah.
watch it and lost interest.
Okay.
But at the same time, I had also just been like watching horror films like every single day,
Right.
anything and everything. And by the time I got to that, I was like, okay, I'm done.
I just think
I'm ready for a different genre.
I think
Yeah.
it's super cool that Pennywise and the Babadook
I love
are an
that.
item. They're a
I
thing.
love
I know.
that.
I think it's so cool.
I love that. And I am once Bill Skarsgard, who plays Pennywise,
Right.
he is amazing.
Yeah, he
That's
is
what I
for sure.
Absolutely amazing. I mean,
He
he's
is, for sure.
fantastic. He's fantastic as Pennywise, but he's a very good, very talented actor.
No doubt.
He is. Do you know who his family is? Who's in his family?
Alexander
Pierce.
Skarsgard.
Alexander
has to be.
Skarsgard
Yeah.
is his older brother.
Sure.
I think Bill is one of the middle one. There are 8 children.
Oh.
Stellan
Wow.
Skarsgard, the actor, is his father.
Oh,
And
is
then
he? It
out
makes
of the
sense.
8 children, 4 of them are actors so far.
How about
Wow.
Yeah.
that? How about that? Yeah, I like
Yeah.
Stellan Skarsgård a lot.
But this thing, if you go see the movie, he does this thing with his eyes that's barely he really does that.
I'm so excited.
Wow.
I gotta
He
go
really
see it.
does
I
that. And
know.
like he
I'm gonna go
demonstrated
see it.
like he can move his eyes independently.
Okay.
Oh,
Wow.
it's so creepy.
Okay.
Well,
But
see, I
so
kind
like
of want to
they
finish
edited
the
it
book.
just a little bit to enhance it, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, he really does that.
Awesome.
It's creepy.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see it so badly, but I want to finish the book. But it's literally 44 hours long.
Go see it. Go see it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Go see it in theaters while
Okay.
you can.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So good. I mean, I seriously, and there were parts where I legitimately sitting in the theater and I'm screaming or like
Yeah.
I'm crawling. I'm sitting in between Tom and Braden and I'm just like, oh my God. And then knowing it's coming, I still screamed. And I don't scream from scary movies. And that it was great.
Was
It
Tom
so
like,
good.
but April,
Yes. Yes.
but Pennywise?
He's going to start doing that now. It's
I'm really-
hilarious. I'm
I'm-
going to love it.
I'm
And
not
I'll
going to do
record
it anymore. That's the
That's
last
a
one.
lie.
Lies. All lies.
Mr. Furley.
All right. Well, my topic, if that was your topic, correct? Okay,
Yes.
that's
That
what
was
I thought.
great.
My topic was actually called out on Facebook. Thank you, Ricky. I was actually already planning
Ricky,
to
number one
talk
fan.
about
Ricky
yes.
Barker.
Also, there's a giant fly in here.
Yes, there
Yeah,
is.
it just got
Sorry.
me.
Maybe the size of my
It
fist.
just got me on the elbow.
Fist. It's a flying thing.
That's right.
Flies are probably the one thing that don't scare me.
Well, no.
Unless they land on my food, then I'm like,
Unless they're really
can't do
big.
that.
Yeah,
No.
dude.
I just know it's gonna die in like a day, so I'm just like, you know what? You do your thing. I'm gonna do mine.
Yeah.
We're cool.
But my topic is time travel. And it was already
Sweet.
going, because it actually stemmed off of us talking about Lost and shows that you cannot watch. And so then I also watched Stranger Things. And so that the whole episode with the Acrobat and the Flea, we're talking that theory. Do you guys remember that theory?
Very vaguely.
You're going to have to,
Okay, so the idea is that there's an acrobat that is walking across a tightrope.
Right.
And there was also a flea on the tightrope.
That's right.
And the acrobat can only go in one direction. They can move back and forth, but they cannot move to the side, the upside down, or any direction. They can only be on top of the rope.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the flea is able to go on all the way around it,
Kind of like almost
in any direction.
Heliocentrically in a way, like all the way around it. Yeah.
I'm guessing what that means. I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I'm guessing what it means.
The
So
literal translation is
Heliocentric.
around the sun.
I was gonna say
it's
that
not,
means
right.
I was
like the sun is the
I was like,
center of the universe.
So
So I think all of us are heliocentric.
What we're talking about right now
now
is completely
Right?
against my religion, and I'm gonna have you guys thrown out of the.
Are you flat Earth?
All right.
I am flat Earth.
Okay.
Flat
Okay.
Earth. I'm
Oh,
so hard
boy.
right
Go
now.
Oh boy!
Please,
All right.
that's not. By the way, he's not. That's a joke.
No,
Of course, just
no.
teasing.
Yeah.
Of course.
All right, you got to laugh at yourself.
I can't
You
have
have
that.
to be able to laugh at
Of
yourself,
course.
otherwise life's just no fun.
That's what I'm all about, you guys.
So anyway, so the theory, they talk about this theory with Stranger Things and the whole idea of the upside down, and that's where the monster came from and stuff like that. So I was thinking about that, and then I was also thinking about in Lost the idea where they've got the element of time travel in there, where they go. And thank you so much, Damon Lindelof, and I've completely blanked on your other name.
J.J. Abrams.
Well, JJ
Yeah,
started
Abrams,
it.
yeah.
JJ started it, but he left after he created the idea. But anyway, so their idea of time travel, we never really find out where the island actually is.
We don't
But
do
there's
it.
the whole
Lost.
idea of
Right.
time travel. So on the island that they land on or crash land on, they there's other islands, and then some of them end up. Now I'm actually going to have to go back and watch it because I've started to forget things. Some of them end up on a Dharma station, but back in the 70s when it was actually active, and then then I think others show up in the 70s. I don't remember. I'm butchering this all to crap. But sorry.
Now I can let that giggle go because I'm trying to not laugh so hard over
I
Brandon
know.
thinking that the flea was heliocentrically walking the tightrope.
Hey, so hold on.
Oh man,
In my defense, there's
I was
this
trying so hard.
there's this cool model. You can find like a GIF of it, like
GIF. It's a
online.
GIF.
You mean?
Right.
It's a GIF.
And it's of various planets orbiting the sun, but also traveling their own path as the sun travels its own path throughout our galaxy.
Yes.
And it is in my
It's
brain, it's
yeah.
kind of like going around all three dimensions of a rope. Heliocentric, however, is not in any way the correct word for an ant,
Yeah, it
a
just
flea
means that the sun is the center of the solar
traveling
system.
around
yeah.
a rope.
I was like, I'm not sure that that's the right word.
But we're
I
going to
started
adopt
thinking
it
about
for
a
the
flea.
remainder of-
I don't know. It's a long story in my brain. So
Yeah. So anyway, so I was thinking about that, and then Ricky was asking
That's the
us to
best.
talk about what time travel is represented in literature and pop culture and things like that. And so one of the things with Lost is the idea of timelines and alternate timelines.
Yeah, right.
Where
right.
so when you leave your timeline or the current timeline that you're on and you move into a different timeline, does that timeline continue on without you?
Right.
Because to us individually, time is linear.
Right.
Whereas when we leave this office, you're going to go and live your timeline, and you're going to go live yours, and I'm going to go live mine. So it's kind of like babies when they're when you play peekaboo with them. If they can't see you, you're not there.
Right.
So it would kind of be like your timeline continues on without us until we
is
come
A
back. Until we come
veritable
back again.
parental Schrodinger's cat, if you will.
Oh,
Yes, yes.
That's
Nice.
that's a good. Did I just redeem
No,
myself?
that one is good.
For my
That was good.
heliocentrism.
Yes.
Oh,
way
right.
better than
Thank
Yeah.
I'm so
the
glad.
So it's-
heliocentric flea.
Yeah.
There it
That could be
is.
your new,
You found it.
Wow, that might be the title.
That
We
is-
may have a winner.
that is-
Oh my gosh.
So
Oops.
So kind of along these lines, ever since we have talked about the Mandela effect,
Yeah, dude. Right.
and one of you said that like there's this theory out there that there's a world that exists where these things
I think Brandon
are,
said that.
It's an idea.
like where Berenstain is actually Berenstain.
Right.
Or
Yes.
where, Nelson Mandela did die. in
Right.
jail,
Right.
Or, whatever.
Right.
So I have been obsessed
Or We Are the
with
Champions
that.
actually ends with
Right.
of the world.
That's called the Queen dimension.
And listen,
by the
I've
way,
gotten a lot of feedback from
Is it
people who
really?
have listened.
I mean,
Who
Did you just make
in,
that up?
in my heliocentric mind,
Oh,
it is.
jeez. All right, so you've gotten feedback.
Yeah, and people were like, he does say of the world. And I'm like, yes, I know that, but not at the end. And
Uh-huh.
they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But yeah, now I'm thinking, what if there really is this other dimension that exists either with us or after us or before? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a fascinating. Once you
guys-
start going down this rabbit hole, it's fascinating,
Yeah.
and then you start getting into string theory and parallel dimensions,
Yeah.
and all of this stuff.
All this stuff that I would have laughed at myself like 6 months ago, and
Yeah.
now I'm like, you know what?
This
It's like,
podcast,
no, it's
this
real.
podcast is the epicenter of a personal and psycho-spiritual renaissance that Cece is having right now in her life. I think.
Yeah.
Is that
Yes,
true?
it's very heliocentric.
it's very heliocentric, if you will.
In fact, I won't.
You won't, but you did.
But
You totally did.
and now it's on a podcast.
Yes, it's out
So
there
forever,
in perpetuity.
forever.
The theory of the heliocentric
I-
fleet.
I-
But hey, maybe there is one in the other dimension.
We'll see.
And
know,
here we are,
There's a
and
giant
they just
flea that is
crossed.
the center of the universe. Ugh.
I think that this idea of parallel dimensions explains a lot of, or could potentially explain a lot of, the unexplainable stuff that we've been dealing with as like a species from the beginning of time. For example, ghosts, right?
Okay.
So people, there are a million different ghosts are spirits of the undead who have a physical, tangible, albeit ectoplasmic, presence in this world.
I
could
love how
reach
you
out-
make up words.
I could reach out, and ectoplasmic is
No, I know. I'm just saying,
Ghostbusters
but it
word.
made me think of how I love how you make up words.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to continue to do that.
Sorry,
for you.
go on.
No, not at all. But so and the other people think that they're residual, almost like an echo of a person's presence when they were throughout their lives or whatever.
Energy.
Their energy for sure. So not ectoplasmic or tangible or this kind of thing. I think. And aliens, my biggest fear. Like when I was a kid, like I wouldn't look out my window after nighttime for fear that a flying saucer was going to see me and come and abduct me and all this crazy stuff. Thanks to the X-Files and other
And the Tommy
Tommy
knockers.
knockers for sure. But I mean, I wonder if it's just all and now I'm getting really out there. And this is obviously just my personal opinion, but I wonder if the closer to the truth is that there are overlaid realities, overlaid
Oh, man.
worlds.
Oh,
This is just a rabbit hole.
Right
yeah,
on.
it
really
is. It
is.
is.
Right, like overlaying our reality, and at some maybe at some locations, maybe a haunted house is a place where in our reality, the veil is thinner or more permeable, and that's why that house is haunted. I also think that during childhood, just for most children, the veils between whatever worlds exist out there are thinner. You know what I
Speaking
mean?
of Stephen King.
Right?
Yeah.
Speaking of Stephen
Well,
King, for sure.
Actually,
Right.
speaking of Stephen King, his novel 11/22/63
Oh,
deals
yeah.
with this.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
definitely.
Deals
Okay.
with not quite to the level of overlaid realities, multiple dimensions happening on top of each other.
Right.
As much as it kind of does. As
Yeah.
much as because it deals with time travel and parallel dimensions,
Yes.
and there's a supernatural element to it.
And time
so-
not being
And
a
time
linear
does
thing.
not want to change.
Mm.
And so
Oh, no.
he tries these experiments because the whole idea is that all of these horrible things happened. You've got there were natural disasters. There was the Vietnam War. There was all of these other things that all started in this one guy's mind, starting with the assassination of JFK.
Okay, right.
And
yeah.
so his idea is that if someone goes back and stops the assassination of JFK, then it will prevent these other things from happening.
chain reaction of other causal events.
So the whole idea of fixed events happening, this is something that's very, very common in Doctor Who.
Sure. Yeah.
and all sorts of other shows. Well, not just shows, but other stories. Where so he goes back in time and he tries an experiment just to see if he can affect change. And so he tries an experiment and he saves this one woman's, saves her from becoming paralyzed. But as he's trying to do that, as he's trying to get to the event where it happens to stop the event from happening, like he gets a flat tire, he runs into a tree that's across the road, he ends up like having to help somebody, and so he goes back multiple times, but, and I don't know if I want to say this because I don't want to give a spoiler for anybody who reads it.
I'm into it, April.
But every time that he goes back, it creates a new dimension.
Yes.
How about that?
A new dimension. And the problem is that it's weakening the fabric of the universe.
Yes. Oh, cool. This is a cool story. I don't know this story.
It is really, really cool. Don't watch the show, but the book,
the show
read the book. It's so good.
Isn't James Franco in this show?
Yeah.
That's a shame. He's pretty hit or miss, and he's such a bae in my heart.
He's a bae for sure.
For sure.
In a lot of hearts.
Yeah, right on. Huh.
But yeah, I thought that was a really just perfectly written book.
Yeah, and that was one of the ones where from Stephen King where I had zero problems reading it. In fact, I devoured that book. I did too.
Yeah.
2 summers ago, my best friend, one of my other best friends, and we both read it, and we just like devoured this book because the show was coming out, and it's like, oh, that looks really good, and we really wanted to read it, so we really wanted to watch it. And then after reading the book, I was like, no, we're not. Even, I mean, she watched it, and then she was like, it's so terrible, just don't even bother. And I don't have Hulu, so I haven't gone back to try and watch it.
Well, and I thought that the end of the book was good, and I'm obviously not going to give that away.
Everybody dies at the end, I'm sure.
Always.
That's how
Except for the kid.
Right, yeah, the kid. For sure.
But yeah, I think that the whole theme of time doesn't want to be changed. And for every, action that they, take to change time, something has to take its place.
Right on. Yeah, that makes good sense.
So for one bad, if he stops one bad thing, then like many bad things happen. If that makes sense without giving lots of away.
Yeah. Well, it turns out that like there are certain things that are fixed points in time. Doctor Who deals with this. There are certain events that cannot be changed. They go back and deal with Pompeii. And Pompeii is one of those fixed points in time where it's like you can save a person maybe, but what effect is that going to have?
Right.
And so there are some events that they go back, especially if other alien life forms are interfering that are causing these things. But Pompeii was one of those fixed points where it's like they could not change it.
There's this great episode of The Simpsons. It's one of their Treehouse of Horror Halloween episodes.
Okay,
they're my favorite, like for life.
I'm a big Bob's Burgers Halloween episode fan.
Oh, I've never seen. I've never watched Bob's Burgers.
Oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? It's so funny.
Not one episode. I want to for sure.
Binge watch it before next week because
there's a character who apparently looks just like me on Bob's Burgers too. I will show you guys on my cell phone before the day is out. I absolutely promise you.
I'm trying to think of all of the
maybe
characters.
Somebody in the background. I have a photograph on my Facebook of this character, and it's pretty straight up.
Okay.
Anyway, so it's a time travel episode. They deal with, I think it's like H.G. Wells, and I don't really know exactly what they're parodying, but Homer goes down to the basement to fix the toaster that's broken and turns it into a time machine.
Of course, it's a toaster.
Back
it's always a toaster.
And every small thing he alters in the past, and he travels back to his present, and there's some huge dramatic, like in one alternate future, Ned Flanders, who's his kind of nemesis, next door neighbor, goody two shoes. He kind of is the ruler of the world, and he's lobotomizing everyone in Springfield to turn him. Okay, right. So Homer makes it back to his toaster, and he goes back to the past, and he says to himself, Homer, don't touch anything, don't move, don't affect anything. And he accidentally falls down on he falls down on a fish, and it's the first fish coming out of the primordial soup, the first right. And he says to himself, "I wish I hadn't squished that fish." And then he goes back to his anyway.
That's funny.
So then he wakes up, after slipping and falling.
I don't
a puddle
remember
of water that came spraying out of Cece's
right,
fridge.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Homer Simpson squishing the first
in my fridge.
primordial fish is the result of your poor.
Right.
I'm sorry, you said
first world fridge. No, it's good. That's good.
So hey, here's the question: if you could go back in time, would you?
I don't know. And like if you could go back, so like the whole question. One of the theories that I've heard is that the reason that the Titanic sank is because so many time travelers went back in time to try and stop it that they sank it.
What?
Yeah. That's one of it's just a theory, and it's like
That's some
sounds to me like they should have let go.
Right?
dimension stuff.
Right? Yeah, no, for sure.
You know?
I don't.
Because oh man, my brain is just.
So they weighed down. There were so many time travelers on the Titanic that they weighed it down and couldn't redirect its path from the iceberg.
That's
what you're
my
saying?
understanding. That's
No.
my understanding.
There were literally so many time travelers on the Titanic that
it's saying.
Oh, guys. So
I know,
we
right?
didn't find any of them. It's because they're
I'm
they're
so
time
quiet
travels.
because my brain's like.
It's like it hurts.
So
Cute.
okay, so I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to phrase this. So how does our understanding of history change if time travel and all these multiple dimensions are actually a thing,
with
right?
everything,
Because when you said that, I was like, okay, how could they go back and change it if it was a thing that happened?
Mm-hmm.
But
would we know?
Yeah, we wouldn't know.
And I think just for a second, playing a thought experiment and saying that all of this is so, right? So there have been time travelers from the beginning of time, and that in itself, right? That in itself is like a paradox, like Mobius strip. Like,
I wish you all could have seen his face. When he
He gets this maniacal look in his eye, and he's just like,
also just like trying to figure out if that was like okay to say.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, for sure, I wasn't quite sure. I'm still not sure. I'm still
Right.
stuck on the heliocentrism
From the beginning of heliocentric
beginning
time.
of right, the Protestant Reformation. When okay, anyway,
Also, how does the flea
I really don't.
factor into
I
this?
just don't. It's all such a paradox. But like, what to me, what that does is it makes the one kind of band of time that we're living in, right? The one that we and all of our listeners are aware of, like this rare and precious thing. Do you know? Because if time can be altered like an infinite number of times, and so there are an infinite number of universes, how precious is it that we live in this one? And like,
man.
do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Right. I have a bit of a different perspective. I want to say one more thing on this topic, if I may.
okay, but please.
I used to, when I was a kid, I was bullied a lot when I was a kid, and I used to sit in my elementary school and middle school classrooms and fantasize, not that I could travel through time. This is like a big part of my life. This is my confessional, I guess.
It's confessional hour with Brandon.
Yeah.
But that I could stop time, that I could freeze time, or you could say that I could myself individually exist outside of time, and that way I could like do whatever I wanted. I could like run all over the school. And,
Like the Flash?
Like kind of like, well, I guess, does the Flash exist outside of time? I guess he does.
He moves so quickly that
that's one of the
it's-
thought
it-
experiments.
to our mind, he would exist outside of time when
Right.
he is moving at that speed.
So-
to him, time just continues.
Right. So that's exactly the thought experiment I would play with myself. I would say, like, if I'm existing outside of time, is time still flowing at a normal rate for other people? And am I just like super like indescribably inhumanly fast? And if that's the case, if I punched a bully in the face when I was like moving at that speed, you know what I mean? Like, would that probably be an irresponsible thing to do? Because like I'm like moving at the
Probably
speed of
just
light is
depends.
probably not a good idea. Do you see what I mean?
I guess it would depend on the force of the impact.
That's what I'm talking about.
I don't know.
We need Neil
I don't
deGrasse
know.
Tyson on the case. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But so this was my fantasy as a kid. Not that I could
Interesting.
travel through time, but that I could like exist outside of time.
See, I don't know. People ask. I've had some interesting challenges in my life, and everything kind of actually drastically changed when I turned 25. That's the age it was when I actually met my husband and rediscovered theater and all of these things. And so my life it's like before age 25 and after age 25.
Totally.
Yeah.
Right.
And so people have, they talk about, if they could go back to high school or if they could go back to college or whatever. I'm like, you could not pay me enough money. There is not enough money. There's not enough anything in the world or in any other world to pay me enough to go back before the age of 25.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the whole idea, I kind of think about it from that perspective, but at the same time, would I go back in history like as I am now and change something if I could? I don't think I would, knowing what I know. Like if I hadn't read, the Time Machine, if I hadn't read 11/22/63, if I hadn't watched Lost, if time travel was just this new thing,
Yeah.
maybe I would. But the whole idea of going back and changing something, but then if you go back and you change something, then what else happens?
Yeah,
that's
dude.
so
The butterfly
right,
effect,
too.
right? We haven't talked about the butterfly effect
yes,
yet.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure, which is a horrible movie with Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah, that looks
Oh
just
my
like
gosh,
you.
he does
He's
look just
showing
like you.
The Bob's Burgers. guy.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is though. I mean,
Yeah.
it
I
might
don't-
just be like a rando.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it looks like maybe the episode of the
Rando.
Yacht Club.
You make it sound like some guy who hit on you at a bar.
Just some rando.
Just some rando.
Just some rando.
Just came up and showed me his picture from Bob's Burgers and was like, "Can I get your number, baby?"
Oh my God, that is. It looks like that might be the episode where they're at the yacht club,
Possibly.
and because they're all standing around, and he looks like he's got a glass of green wine.
It was some kind
Maybe
of
it's a
wine, some kind
cocktail
of
of some
goblet
sort. I don't know.
of something, not fire.
But no, he looks exactly like you. That's interesting.
Yeah, he does.
That was pretty funny. A friend of mine sent that to me and was like, "You're on
Yeah.
Bob's Burgers." I was like, "I guess I am."
Well, what's your topic, Brandon?
Besides heliocentrism.
Besides that, I want to know what y'all's favorite season is. Can I ask you?
Season like of
S-
the
season of the 4 seasons that are
Oh,
I know where you're going.
heliocentric
I'm all
planet
season of what?
I'm like,
travels
what
around
TV
the
show?
sun.
I'm like hotel.
Right?
Exactly.
Duh.
Idiot. Well, like, what is your here in Kentucky? Where we're podcasting from, we have the luxury of getting all 4 seasons, and some places obviously don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious what yours is and
Well,
why, if you don't mind me
I know,
asking.
April's.
Well,
Soup girl.
actually, that fall used to be my favorite.
Mhm.
Now it's actually changing.
Yeah.
And it's actually moving more towards summer.
Okay.
Fall, yes, because I love the cooler weather.
Mm-hmm.
I love the changing of I love the colors. I love scarves. I love boots. I love soup. I love
No.
pumpkin spice lattes.
No.
I love
You
all
like to
of those
talk and not
things.
talk?
I love to talk and not talk. I can talk and not talk for hours
And still have things to talk about.
or not talk about.
It's a welcome to the Nerd Factor. That's what we do.
But it's moving towards summer because, one, my kids are older. My kids are teenagers now, and so they're far more independent. But also during the summer, they go to their dads a lot during the summer. And so they're at their dad's most Monday through Friday. And usually I'm involved in a big summer production.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so Tom and I have this time to be a couple
Nice.
that we didn't have coming into this
Yeah.
because I already had the kids and they were 2 and 4 when we started dating. Actually, 2 and 4 when we started dating. And so Katie doesn't remember a time without Tom in her life.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
She had turned 2 in May and he and I met in August.
Yeah.
Well, met. I say that with quotations because we've known each other since 3rd grade. So when they go to their, we already had children coming into this. And so we didn't get that time where
Right.
it's just the 2 of us. And so in the summer we get that, and it's pretty nice. But now that they're teenagers, I get that year round. Really, they're very independent.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
They're very independent.
Sure.
So, but I really enjoy the freedom of summer. Even though here at the Madison County Public Library we have summer reading,
So
and
busy.
it's
Oh, man,
busy.
it's busy at work.
It's
Yeah.
busy, but I also thrive when I'm
Yeah,
busy.
Same.
If I have to have my downtime as well. I have to have those breaks, but I thrive when I'm busy.
Right on.
When I'm busy like we are during the summer.
Summer, I just I can't breathe in the summer because
I
it's
know.
so busy.
Now the
here.
temperature I
Yeah.
hate.
Oh, I'm talking
but-
like it's so busy here,
Mhm.
and with my job, I'm not responsible directly for all of it, but
Mhm.
Oh, dude.
supervise.
You're the bottleneck.
what's
though.
going on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just nonstop, and plus I can't stand being hot.
Dude.
So
Yeah,
and as a runner, I hate running in the summer. Like
I
Summertime
can
is
see
just
that.
like-
I can see that.
Well, is there an anatomical word for the bend in the back of your knee? Like, what is the other than calling it the bend of the back of your knee? Is there
I'm
a
gonna go
word
with
for
bend
it?
in the back of your knee.
Okay, so it's just summertime for me is just sweat, just pouring down the bend in the back of
Oh,
my
yeah.
knee. It's like,
Oh yeah,
like,
And it's really
"Ah,
humid
so
and just
gross."
and
so
other
gross.
areas.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah,
It's just so gross
Yeah.
and humid outside. I like spring and fall.
spring and fall.
Mhm.
Why?
And those are because they're not hot or cold. Also hate being cold.
Right.
Yes. No. You don't mind being cold. You just don't like the air,
I don't
the
like
air
the AC,
conditioner
right.
blowing on your skin.
Right
Right.
on.
Um,
It's my
As we get our
wintry
sound
breath.
effects from Brandon.
I mean,
Love
fall is a really pretty time, obviously,
Mhm.
but it's also cool. Outside. First thing in the morning, it's nice to run because it's cool and it's not like super duper humid. But spring is gonna sound so corny, but spring I like because there's new life, I guess. Like everything's starting to bloom and all that. So They're showing Mark's phone. I
The-
don't really
What
know,
on earth?
The back of the knee joint is called the popliteal fossa.
Mark,
I'm sorry. This
look
needs to be.
at you.
One more time,
can't-
the
yeah.
popliteal fossa. I feel like I need to be intubated and on Grey's Anatomy, which is what they always
So what would you be, Mick?
still on. And
McBeardy?
I would be Mick.
Yes!
I would love to be
I just
McBeardy.
want you to know I fist pumped in the air just now.
Oh man, could I be?
McBeardy.
Listen, I really need to tell a funny story about my beard
that
involving
was fantastic.
involving one of our
Oh,
one of our
man.
dear staff members.
Mark is
Mark is
crying.
dying.
Mark, I still think you need to be Mick Rat-Taily from our previous
Yeah.
previous podcast.
Oh my gosh, McBeardy. At the
That's
same
your
time.
Halloween costume.
Danny came up to me. He's our library director in Berea. He came up to me.
Director?
Or library branch
You just got a
manager. Sorry.
promotion, Danny.
Yeah, right. In Berea. And he came up to me. This has been a year ago, and I definitely needed a trim of the beard, and maybe my hair was a little unkempt that day. But he said
I
to
know
me,
this story.
Brandon, you look like a hairy octopus. And I couldn't even be mad because he was so right. It was very true.
Can't even be mad.
So-
I'm just picturing that Will Ferrell
I
meme. Can't even be mad.
Can't
Yeah.
even be mad. I
Kind
was
of
like,
impressed.
Yeah.
You're right. Right. I'm a little impressed. So I went to a
Hairy
barber.
octopus.
A hairy
Hairy
octopus.
octopus. Oh my
Oh,
God.
man.
That is fabulous.
It was true. He was right.
That is absolutely fabulous.
I'm approaching hairy septipus, at least at this present moment in time. That's an
I don't
octopus
even know
minus
what
one
to do
leg.
right now.
Okay.
So I'm a basic Brandon, you guys. I'm an autumn.
Basic Brandon.
I'm a
Brandon.
basic Brandon, just
A basic
hardcore.
McBeardy.
There's a basic McBeardy Brandon. I'm just every social media basic hashtag on the planet because autumn is just I am in love. I wait for the autumn. I share all the memes. I love pumpkin spice. It's
You
just
do love you some pumpkin
oh
spice.
You
so
do.
hard. It's just my thing. And I've been thinking about it autumn. It's still pretty warm out there. We had a little taste of autumn for a couple weeks, and now it warmed back up and blah blah blah. But I've been thinking about why. I've actually not what. I haven't been thinking about what's your favorite season and why. I'm excited to hear from you guys about that. But I've been thinking about why are this idea of the basic person why are people who love the autumn time kind of detrimented a little bit?
Maybe
Because
or
everybody
everybody
does.
does.
Yeah.
So it's the predictability,
We're on the same
right?
wavelength
I know,
today. It's kind
Are
of
we on the other dimension?
Woo!
You guys are like the two girls on Three's Company, and I'm like Jack.
Except that was Don Knotts.
Oh,
but
sorry,
okay.
I can't do John Ritter.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It's not- anyway, so I think that there's this idea of conformists or people who are conforming to their basic and they're looked down upon now, and I just want to say, forget you guys, man. I'm just gonna
Fly that flag.
I'm going to
Yeah.
fly that pumpkin flag, and I just want to empower all of you guys who are flying your autumn flag or whatever it is. Fly your
Yeah.
Christmas flag. I know lots of people can't wait. They're counting down till Christmas right now. Go for it, you
April
guys.
and I, again, on the same. We do not like Christmas.
Well, neither do I.
No.
Neither do I. But right now, I'm championing.
Work in a store.
Whatever you
Work in a
Yes.
guys
store for a couple
Yes.
years.
Yeah, for sure.
And you will.
Oh,
you will agree.
I'm
had
personally very not cool with Christmas. I'm not a
bad
big fan, but
I've just had bad Christmases since being an adult. I mean, they've gotten better, and they're not overall bad, but I've had some bad things happen.
did
around Christmases.
Gremlins overtook your town one
Yeah,
year at Christmas
absolutely.
time?
There
Right.
was one that was called Spike. I don't know. It was weird.
In the microwave.
Yeah.
McBeardy.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I still stuck on that. But I mean, and I worked retail, and the music is pretty, but I'm
Well,
over
they also
it
start
within,
playing
2
it
weeks.
in September now.
November
For sure,
1st.
man.
Oh, man.
November
No
1st.
So
way.
gross.
Actually, no, I think there's one of the stations that plays it in October now. They started last year.
I bet you $5. Mix 94.5. We love you, everybody in Lexington
Yeah,
and
no.
companies.
You got to be able to laugh at yourself.
That's exactly right. Thanks,
but,
April.
But no, I get tired of. I love the decorations.
Yeah, man.
I love
the
going
spirit
out.
of Christmas.
I love the spirit of it. It's just, oh my God,
Yeah.
let it. Now Halloween, I could do Halloween year
All day,
round. All day, every day.
All day,
every day.
Every day.
See, I don't like it.
You don't like Halloween?
No, I know that's
Oh.
odd.
Well, what is
You're
your favorite holiday?
Gosh, one that I'm home from work.
So Labor Day.
I like Thanksgiving a lot.
Okay.
I like
Me
food.
too, dude.
Is that when you get your spoon bread?
Me too.
Well, no,
No.
my dad makes rolls.
Ah, okay.
He makes them for a day, homemade rolls.
Wow.
I really feel like you need to cater your dad. I'd like to put an official request for your dad to cater a
Sure.
Nerd Factor
would be-
podcast
yeah.
sometime.
it would be a very short podcast.
It would be us eating the entire time.
It would be us eating, and
Yeah.
like we'd have to have the mics away from our mouths because
sure.
it would be, all of those people who have misophonia, who get angry from the sound of
Oh, yeah.
people chewing.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Tom has that, and he does. He gets angry.
Yeah.
It's like Hulk smash angry.
Okay.
And I'm like, dude, go just leave the room for a minute, and then chill out, and then come back in. But he does, and it's just like the sound of chewing, water dripping, that sort of thing.
Well, he's not going to like the slurps. in
No,
this.
he's not.
Oh, there's
He'll-
lots of slurps at the beginning
Yeah.
half of this episode.
Hulk
Yeah, for sure.
rage.
For sure. Real quick, guys, before we say goodbye to everybody, what would McBeardy drive? So McSteamy drives his motorcycle into the operating room. What would McBeardy drive?
VW Rabbit.
A Jeep. A what?
A VW Rabbit.
A VW rabbit. I didn't hear VW, so I thought I was just like galloping on
On an actual rabbit.
on an actual
No
rabbit.
time to explain. Get on.
Could it at least be like a jackalope with like antlers?
Yes, absolutely. McBeardy would wear,
time
and he would
to
wear red and
explain.
black flannel.
Red and black flannel
red
for
and black
sure.
flannel.
For
Yeah.
sure.
With
Okay.
your little
Jackalope.
pumpkin spice
Yes,
Very good.
latte in your
Very
hand.
good.
Guys, you do you. You
Yep.
be you.
That's
And
what I'm
don't let
talking about, man.
anybody, You know,
Be as basic Brandon as y'all want to be, y'all.
as basic Brandon as you want.
You
Absolutely.
insane.
Basic McBeardy
Please.
octopus
Yeah.
Brandon.
Please.
Yeah, let your
Do
freak
it.
flag fly.
Do it. With
Freak
love from the Nerd Factor.
Did I say freak flag?
Freak
You
frag?
did. That's
I
what
said-
I heard.
Okay, I thought
think
said
I really
freak
am
flag.
On like, I don't know, Dimension 7 right
Maybe
now.
you are. Maybe
You
I am.
might have been responsible for JFK in some way. I'm not sure. Did you bend the
I'll have to
bullet
go fix that.
like Magneto? Yeah, you need to
Oh,
go
this
back.
just reminded me about that radio broadcast that we listened to a couple years ago on the anniversary of the assassination, where it was from the BBC, I think, where they actually did the radio broadcast as it was done that day.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
But they were
wow.
also like telling you like at the time that this was happening, this is what was happening. Like Lee Harvey Oswald was going here, and then JFK was coming this way, or they were arriving. And they also had like the songs that were being played on
Holy
the radio.
cow.
It was fascinating
Yeah.
Very
program. It
beautiful,
was
yeah.
so good.
That's
Was that
cool.
like for the 50th anniversary?
I think
maybe?
it was.
Yeah.
It was just. It was like, oh god, that was maybe like.
I
5
think you
years
and I
ago.
were sharing an office at that point because
Were
I feel
we?
like because I feel like we both listened to that.
I know we both listened to it because
Yeah.
we would come out and be like, "Are you at this part?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah. So I don't know if we were in the same office at that point or was like around that same time, but it was a fantastic program.
That's cool.
That's
radio
a big topic of mine. That's
yeah.
one of the
Radio
things I'm
Lab
really-
did
JFK, American history, that particular
speaking
period.
of like scary stories and things, Radio Lab did an episode, which is another podcast. Well, actually, it's also a radio show. I guess they're the same thing, but one's broadcast and one's
It's also a laboratory.
Right, one's recorded.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But they did an episode along those same lines where they were exploring the War of the Worlds broadcast that H.G.
Cool.
Wells did,
That's
and everybody fell for it, and so they kind of played some of the same things that were happening. Like they played some of the music that was happening. It was not a very popular singer, and so people switched over to a different radio station. But it was after the announcement that said that this is a fictionalized program. And so they tuned in after that, and so they were hearing all of these things. And so, like, there was this mania that was going on. People thought aliens were landing.
Right.
And so they did an episode
That's
about
so cool.
whether or not someone could do this again, and
Right.
they would have the same reaction. And actually, it's happened several times.
Really?
And I believe in El Salvador,
Really?
like people died.
Whoa.
Oh man.
Yeah, they were so angry once they realized what was going on that like they went and burned down the radio station.
Holy cow! Is that
Wow.
Yeah.
real?
Yeah,
Whoa.
we love you all. Please don't come and burn us down.
Yeah.
We have good senses of humor. You won't get any more podcasts if you
Please
burn us down.
Pay no attention to our anti-scientific rambling mumbo jumbo here at
Yep.
the Nerd Factor podcast. We're just having a good time.
Yeah, we're having a good time. We like
Yeah.
to laugh.
And we can be big dumb dummies at times.
There's
Big
no
dumb
doubt.
dummies.
Big dumb dummies is a real thing.
Speak for yourself.
We
I'm a smart
embrace
smarty.
it. I'm gonna go get me some
April and Brooke.
some
Smart
sugars.
Smarties.
We'll see you guys later.
Goodbye, everybody, from Don Knotts and the Nerd Factor podcast.
I can't even say goodbye now.